Okay, so before we go into four-wheel, we have to do this with the hubs. These are pretty unique. We gotta open them up, turn them around, and I put red where that is. Okay, now that the hubs are engaged, and over here we're in first gear. This one you push down, so we're in four-wheel drive, and this one low, neutral, and high range. I have it in low range right now. Okay, so this is my new addition right here. This is a, if you can read it, this is a 1942 Scabbard made in Milwaukee, and it's supposed to be for an M1 Grand, but I'm not going to put my M1 Grand in there. This is simply the stock of a rifle, that's all. So that's going to go in there. I'm sure the veterans that we will give rides to from the VFWs won't mind that at all. Okay, so other features that we added. Obviously, like I said, the seat belts, Summit Racing. And I like this. This is a Korean War radio telephone right there. And so I Velcroed that to the ammo box. The ammo box is bolted to the floor. And the other thing I really like is the first aid kit. That is actually right between World War II and the Korean War, and that's full of everything. That has all the old stuff in it, iodine, Vaseline, everything. And this box, if you can read it, it says 2/5/1942, and that's just full of my winch material, so like ropes and tows and all that stuff. So there it is. And so now we're going to go four-wheel drive. Let's go for a ride. So the interesting part was when we got a little ways up, there was a tree that went across the road. So I actually used my winch to winch it out. It was pretty cool.
You ready?
Yeah. So now we're back on our way up the hill again.
Okay, we're on.
Okay, so like I said before, we were rudely interrupted by that tree going down. This is an M38A1. It's made in the early 1950s. It's a bit different from the M38s during World War II. First of all, this is a couple inches longer, a couple inches higher, bigger tires, but the weird part is it's 2 inches narrower than the World War II M38s. I bought this early June of the COVID year 2020. So yeah, this is a COVID Jeep. So let me tell you a few more changes. The most dramatic change was the rounded fenders. The other ones had very sharp fenders. This was on the other side with the World War II Jeep. If you'll come over here, there's a big difference between the engines. The first engine in the World War II Jeeps had a Go Devil, and it was only 52 horsepower. This one is a 134 cubic inch, and it is called a Hurricane. And the people that restored this did a great job with this. This is all supposed to be waterproof, but yeah, that's too expensive. So normally the World War II Jeep was 6 volts. This one was 24 volts, but the people that restored it before I bought it knocked it down to a 12 volt. Okay, and the reason it was 24 volts in the first place, I'll show you. Here, there's a big opening, and this is where an auxiliary generator was. And over here, this was the opening for the auxiliary power source, which was hooked to the planes and could jumpstart planes. And this was in the Korean War. So that was pretty cool, but they didn't need it anymore, and so we have 12 volt that the people did.
So with the batteries, we connected them in parallel, which doubles the amperage, but still remained at 12 volt. Originally, they would have been in series. This would have been 24 volt.
24 volts, right.
So it would have been positive to negative, and vice versa on the other side.
Right, and
that would have doubled the voltage, but kept the amperage the same.
Yeah, and this was, like you said, 24 volts, but the parts on a 24 volt are hard to get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Headlights and stuff like that, it's much easier to get.
Yeah, so when I did purchase this vehicle, it was already knocked down from 24 volts down to 12, which made it a lot easier. But now we've got double the amperage.
Yeah.
Good. So, let me close this up. I like where the shovel is. Like I said, the people that restored this did a really good job. Paint job spectacular, the engine spectacular. The only thing that we had to do a few things, but one of the things that this M38A1 is noted for is, man, its transmission in second gear has a big problem. When you put it in second gear, if you let your foot off the gas, it'll pop out. So I have tons of video about us changing that. That was one of the biggest things that we did. We changed the transmission, and second gear works perfect now. So I thought maybe one of the forks was bent. So we went to Kaiser Willys and bought a master clutch kit. And it included new pressure plate, friction disc, throwout bearings, sleeve, clutch fork, clutch return spring, and pilot bushing, and it certainly wasn't any of the 3 forks. They were all perfect. So once again, we called up Kaiser Willys, and this time we bought a complete transmission assembly kit. And we got that in a couple weeks. So the first thing we did is we took out the panel that the clutch was underneath. This is what it looked like. And then when we finally took the clutch part out, we found out that both forks, the reverse and first gear and the second and third gear, were perfect. So no bent forks, everything was perfect. Now we had to figure out something else. So we brought it up to my friend Dale's lift, and we took apart everything, disconnected the 2 drive shafts and just about everything else in order to get the transmission out. So this is what the transmission looked like when we brought it out, and Jim will explain what he found.
So what we did, Greg, was we determined that this blocking gear here that the shift forks hook into this slot. And when you shift it to second, this synchronizer slows it down. It has spiral grooves on the inside of it, and this slows it down like a clutch. So this gear and the engine will meet up at the same speed and ease that gear into place. Those were worn, and there are what they call struts underneath this on the blocking gear, and it has little nubs on it, so when that slides over, those nubs hold that in place, and those were worn off, which was making it pop out a second.
I gotcha. Yep. So now we're putting the transmission and the part of the clutch together.
One pilot bearing removed. As you saw in the other video, Greg, to line everything up is with the pilot bearing in the disc and make sure your transmission slips in. There's a tool. So you throw that on, and then you throw your disc bolt that on, and it just pulls out, and everything should be lined up to throw the transmission on.
So now we got the new clutch in and we got the transmission, and what we're doing is we're in the Jeep looking down through the hole at the clutch. Other things we did. We put the step on for my wife. Okay, so other features that we added. Obviously, like I said, the seat belts, Summit Racing. And I like this. This is a Korean War radio telephone right there. And so I Velcroed that to the ammo box. The ammo box is bolted to the floor. And the other thing I really like is the first aid kit. That is actually right between World War II and the Korean War, and that's full of everything. That has all the old stuff in it. Iodine, Vaseline, everything. And this box, if you can read it, it says 2/5/1942, and that's just full of my winch material. So like ropes and tows and all that stuff. So there it is. We put the top on, and it is from Beechwood Canvas in New Jersey. They did a spectacular job, and they're doing the cover for the windshield also. The braces are from Army Jeep parts. And the other things that I want to show you, if you come around here. This is my friend. It's on the back of the Jeep. It will always remain here. This is Thomas Begay, and he was a United States Marine Corps World War II. He was a Navajo code talker. He made it through Iwo Jima, but as you see on my license plate, it says Chosin Reservoir. He said it was the worst battle he's ever been in, and he survived the Chosin Reservoir, and he is one of the chosen few. So, also, the 1st Division was the first American Army group to win a land battle during World War II, and that was in Guadalcanal, and that's what this is right here, Guadalcanal. Okay, more things we put on the Jeep. This is an MP50, and amazingly enough, I got this on eBay, and it's in mint condition. And this is MP50, like I said, whip antenna. And I put the coax down here and it goes to a CB radio on the other side. Now the other thing we had to do is we had to put turn signals on this, and if it weren't for my two friends Jim and Dale, I wouldn't have all this stuff on the Jeep. He put the turn signals on. They didn't have it before, and they have flashers and turn signals. I had to put the fuel gauge in, and I got that from Army Jeep Parts, and it works perfectly now. So we have four places that we got most of the stuff for the Jeep. Kaiser, Willys, we had the brand new transmission and some of the clutch material. Then we had Summit Racing for the seat belts. We had eBay actually for the MP50 antenna. We had Beechwood canvas for the top. And this is a short handled axe. We got that from Army Jeep Parts. So basically, I love the Jeep, but if you get it at M38A1, very careful about second gear, because man, it's a pain in the butt. And like I said, there's a lot of video of us changing the transmission in this. So that's it. Hope you like it.